Welcome to More Than Our Story, where our mission is to inspire through profiling incredible people. I'm Daniel Height, and today I'm joined by John Amanam, a pioneer in prosthetics from Uyo, Nigeria. In 2023, he was named one of Africa's 100 most influential people. He's a Pan-Africanist whose company Immortal Cosmetic Art identified and fills a critical market gap through developing hyper-realistic prostheses for individuals with dark skin tones. John, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hi, Daniel. Good to see you too. Pleasure is mine.
So you had a background in art. You graduated from the University of Uyo with a degree in fine and industrial art, specializing in sculpture. Did you always know that you wanted to be creative and do something with building and creating things?
Yeah, I always knew creativity was part of myself. I actually inherited it from, it's a family thing. Creativity is a family thing. My dad is an artist, his dad was an artist, and so on and on. So I've always been part of the creative, um, I've been part of the creative space, but I never thought of going into hyper-realistic prostheses. It's an
So
afterthought. Yeah.
what was it about sculpture that spoke to you?
Yeah, I like three-dimensional forms. I like playing with forms, not just two-dimensionality. I like feeling my sculptures. I like feeling my works of art. I like playing with 3D forms, like going around objects. So that has always been something I've always done right from childhood. Building stone and sand sculptures, trying to create mud houses out of clay and play around clay. So I also grew around watching my father creating sculptures, ceramic wares. He was always in the studio. So I grew up in an environment where art was always around me and forms, playing with different forms. My dad would create different forms. So that's one of the things that kept my drive for being a sculptor.
So I want to talk about the company you founded, Immortal Cosmetic Art, the leading producer of hyper-realistic prosthesis. In 2019, your brother Ubakaban lost some fingers in an accident, and it was the resultant struggle to find a prosthetic matching his skin tones that was the catalyst for you founding the company. How did you successfully translate your artistic background and love of sculpture into creating prosthesis?
Wow, that's amazing, an amazing question. Um, I never wanted it to be a company initially. I just wanted to solve a problem. I still remember after creating Ubon's first hand, I had to travel to another city to create a sculpture for, I had a commission in some other city. And then while working, I started receiving calls. I received tons and tons of calls. Someone had shared my work online and had went viral without my being aware of it. Since as an artist, when we are out for commissions, most times we keep our phones off to avoid distraction. So I started receiving calls, different calls. I'm calling from Ghana, I'm calling from US. I was like, what's going on? I never knew a guy I said should make a post about myself months ago, which he never did, had then suddenly done it. It had gone viral. So I now realize that this was really a serious need in the society. It was something people really wanted. I never knew we had so many people in need of these services until that very moment. And then I had to come back and readjust. When I started seeing calls from different countries, different people, I now realized, this is business. I need to get more serious about it. I never thought at the onset that I'm going to be serious about it. Then I came back, I had to leave that work, come down, start organizing myself. start thinking of going formal, having an office, registering a company name, having to attend to people one after the other, because there were tons of calls. I could receive like 200 calls in a day, 300 calls in a day, and I was like, wow, this is massive. So that really inspired and drove me to going serious with this. And I now realize, wow, this is business. I need to attend to people's needs, especially people who have my skin tone.
Well, it's clear that you definitely identified a real need. What challenges did you face in navigating from idea to having a proof of concept?
Okay. No, every concept has comes in stages. And my earliest stage in the creation of hyper-realistic prostheses was battling with the materials, being sure of where to get the materials, how to manipulate the materials, and how to produce processes that would meet the standard, which is the hyper-realistic standard. So it was a very serious battle for me, having not had a mentor, a book, or an academy, to go get those ideas from. So I kept researching, spelling, trying all over again until one day I shouted, "Eureka!" I found it. And that was everything. And then also, it didn't just end there. When I registered my company, Immortal Cosmetic Art, as a company, now realized I wasn't used to formalism. I wasn't used to, as an artist, I wasn't really used to being too formal, too corporate, having an office, spending time trying to organize, look at documents. I wasn't really used to that. But I had to engage myself. I had to also and go for seminars, train myself, and also employ others to ensure that the company was moving like every other company could do. So it's a nice experience. I say it's a very awesome experience, transforming from the new normal artist or the usual form or what I had already known to a more corporate entity, a corporate body, a business entity. So I like it. It was worth it.
So what kind of flesh covers have you designed? And I guess to add to that, which one has been the most complicated to do so far?
Yeah, every day comes with series of new challenges. I still remember one of my most awkward experiences. When people saw my post online, like when it went viral and people started calling me, I only knew how to produce a finger and a palm. But people had already started calling me, oh, I need an ear, I need a nose. And these were things I was still researching on. We are talking about 2019. Yeah. I was confused. I was worried. And I had to sit back and say, I'm the researcher. I'm the solution. There's an adage in our sense that says you're the one who faints, and you're the one who pours water on yourself. You're the one who resuscitates yourself. So I decided I have to do this. I have to face this squarely. We have to seeing the demand is there. They've started asking us for parts we are not used to making. We have to research on this. We now realize these are problems that needs to be attended to. And that if we must be if we must be in charge as we are, we've been projected, we must master all of this. Then we started making from ears to nose, from I set the eye, from ears to fingers, foot, and then we kept going. We kept exploring. We kept discovering new ways. Then we kept sharing our posts. And one of the most challenging experiences I had at that time was an ear. The lady already had an ear and wanted us to modify her ear. She already had her 2 ears, but since she had seen that we were doing, our works were amazing, she wanted new ears for herself. She had small ears, but wanted bigger ears. My brother, it wasn't a small thing. So for over 6 months, we have been battling on how to install her ear. We were able to fix it completely, but how do we install this ear when she already has an ear? So it's one of my most interesting and most complex works so far. But finally, we were able to solve that problem. After a series of experiments, we knew already that we've lost every money, every penny that came into the work, but we were determined and we'll find a solution to it. And that was what made us succeed. So we succeeded and she's happy. And she's happy wherever she is right now.
That's excellent. So in 2020, you became the first African to secure a patent for these prostheses, the hyper realistic ones. How special was that moment, given it was born from what was initially a tragedy?
Yeah, a lot of things went through my mind when I got that patent. You know, it was an amazing application I'm trying to replay the comments of the office where I got the patent from. They were shocked, they were amazed, and they were happy to grant me that patent because it was an idea not born out of selfishness. It's an idea that will touch lives. So it wasn't really a difficult thing then for me to have a patent. I was happy myself. I was so excited that it was given to me. I didn't really go through a serious stress, although they had to check to see if someone else was actually doing it, and they couldn't find anyone to match my work. So it was a mind-blowing experience for me. In short, I still remember looking at those documents for days. Every morning I would just look at the documents and like, wow, is this is this me? You know, I already had this worry then when I started doing prostheses, like hyper realistic prostheses. I felt someone may try to overwhelm the legacy or try to steal or try to copy or compete. But along the line, I realized that my technique was very different and very difficult to achieve. And sometimes I even sit back to imagine the stress whoever is going to come after me would go through to achieve what I have achieved, because of this technique is very complex. It's not a common technique. It's not the usual color schemes that we were taught in school. It's not the red plus blue will give you this, that. No. It's another level of colors. So I'm happy. I'm excited. At least that aside, we've been able to solve people's needs. We've been able to meet people's needs, solve their challenges, and we look forward to more innovations, more ideas, and more chapters of production of hyper-realistic prostheses for amputees.
Speaking of taking the next steps, in 2023, your brother, who inspired the formation of the company, kicked off research that led to the development of the Abakuan Bionic, which upon launch will be Africa's first hyper-realistic bionic prosthesis working directly with the brain signals. What challenges did that new generation of bionic prosthesis present?
The work was and it was a project I deliberately engaged in. As an innovative person, I sat back and said, what's the future of what we are doing? What is the future of what we're doing? And the future of what we are doing, like I always say, is fashion. Fashion. I've always thought of people being so comfortable with their prostheses that it becomes a style. You know, we had the challenge of creating prostheses that were purely aesthetic. They were beautiful, amazing. Wow, this looks like my hand. Oh, this is a carbon copy of my flesh. Wow, this is so real. We've gone past, I thought we had gone past that stage. We needed something new. I had already given ourselves, said we can't be on this stage for 5 years. So we started counting. 2001, 2002, and 2003, we should engage in something different. So in 2023, sorry, we started, I engaged the team. I said, my younger brother, since he is the one who's the amputee and is also a science student, he will be the better person to carry out that research, owing to the fact that the amputees or people who are disabled are in a better place to understand how it feels to be an amputee. So they are the best to engage in research, to engage in this research because they look at themselves first and wish for themselves what they will do for others. So they are in a better place of saying, look, I feel pains on my leg. What will we do to solve this pain? Oh, this arm is unproportional. How do we fix this? So I choose him as the best person for that project. And he was willing to do it, and he did it passionately because we were looking at the future of functional prostheses. And that is the first phase of this project. Once we get to the functional prostheses and we are done perfecting our craft, we will be looking at fashionable prostheses. We believe and we think that in the future, people will actually just want prostheses for fashion. Yeah, I'm not projecting in the dark side of prosthesis, but I feel some people will want to modify themselves and say, oh, I need 3 arms. For example, I want to be more sufficient. I want to add speed. I want to be fast. I want to be that. Just an augmentation. We've not gone to that stage yet, but I see a future of fashionable prosthesis. That's what I see.
I just want to take a moment to emphasize how incredibly impactful your work is. You're allowing individuals who have lost control over their limbs due to diseases or injury to not only regain control over those limbs, but they're regaining their dignity, and that's just so inspirational. I just want to commend you on everything you've accomplished.
Thank you very much. I also want to add that I have also employed some amputees. I am looking forward to a future where 40% to 50% of the staff I have, the workers I have, are amputees, especially for this company, Immortal Cosmetic Art. They are the ones that will do the research. They are the ones that we will empower to work on the challenges that they face every day. They are the ones that will interpret to us how they feel, what they feel should be the future, which is their future in prostheses. So I am working on that every day. I keep projecting it. We will work more with amputees. We should be able to have a lot of information when it comes to people with disability in terms of fashion, job opportunities, research opportunities, educational opportunities, entertainment. We should be able to create a sphere for people who are disabled to help them gain back their confidence, their comfort, and their confidence, their comfort, and hope. Also, letting them know that disability is an opportunity to evolve, an opportunity to look beyond your situation and see yourself as a researcher, as a superhuman, as someone who has gone through a lot but is still alive. And that gives you an upper hand to show you are a stronger individual in the society. So that's what I'm projecting. By God's grace, that's where we'll be finding ourselves in a couple of years.
Who better to lead the way than the people who live that every day?
Yes, yes, yes.
So your company now operates in three branches. You've achieved global recognition. I believe you've delivered prostheses and services to over 60 countries. What's next on your roadmap, and where do you hope to be in, say, 5 years?
Yeah, I look forward to the next 5 years. I may not be actively involved in prostheses, the production of hyper-realistic prostheses, but I'm looking at an industry where we've grown people, an industry where we've mastered the templates. We've evolved beyond manual labor to a digital space where we create custom-made processes to match individual needs across the globe. I look forward to a future in some other thing because I have a lot of I have other inventions, although I'm still working on them. Also, I have other things I like doing, like archaeology and all of that. I'm a researcher and an adventurer. I like adventure. So in the next 5 years, I may not be active in the production of hyper-realistic prostheses, but I must have trained people, I must have inspired people, I must have put in structures that will run itself, or templates, or whatever it is, and would be running the company for itself. That is what I'm looking at. An industrial space, a space, a market, a name for myself, or a name for the world of amputees or in disability, where all kinds of disability are attended to with all amount of diligence.
Speaking about branching out, you presented at a conference exploring the intersection of art and medicine, where you called for a more collaborative approach. Can you share your views on art's roles in medicine education?
Yeah, down history. If you go down history, you would see that the likes of Leonardo da Vinci were one of the earliest individuals. He was a painter, an artist, a sculptor who dissected the human body. He was one of the earliest people to lay down detailed drawings of the internal structure and the external structure of humans. Now, this is it's a pointer that the artist is a very good tool in the society in almost all spheres of professionalism, be it in medicine, law, whatever it is. So there is my call when it comes to what I'm projecting or what I'm trying to bring out is that the artist needs to be empowered. We need to draw closer to the artist. There are several problems that the artist could solve if only we knew they have such abilities. The artist is a very versatile individual. His mind works round the clock for innovation. The artist saves the world in another way. It could be a great synergy working with an artist. So I think we all need we need to have an artist. You need an artist in your life. Be the painter, the ceramist, the textilist, graphicist. We all need an artist in our lives, in our spheres, in our profession. Let's just create a space for them and see the magic. We may not be there to compete. We may not be there to say I'm a doctor. A lot of people try to call me doctor. I said, no, I'm a sculptor. Let's stick to that. That's what I studied. This is just an innovation and invention, but I am a sculptor. If you need other services, you could ask me, but don't forget that I'm a sculptor, not a doctor. So there are a lot of things to experiment on. Art sculpture is a practical an analytic study of space and form relationship for both aesthetic purposes, functional purposes, and other purposes. So when it gets to sculpture, this is how I can explain my own field when it comes to the art. I feel there are spaces, there are spheres where we need painters, we need graphicists, everyone needs an artist in their life. That's
how would you propose fostering further collaboration between the sciences and art?
Research. I am a problem or a solution-driven individual. I believe the first step is identifying a problem in the society. What's the problem? Over the years, what have we studied? What have we noticed? The artist and the medical professional need to come together as research partners. You understand? We could talk business later, but let's research on the patients you have. Let's say you've observed that out of 10 million patients over the years, this has been the challenge of 500,000. And we keep those data intact and look at them and see how can an artist come in. For instance, let's say I've watched, before I came into the production of hyper-realistic prostheses, I observed that so many patients had amputations from here, from this ankle. Some just had problem on their fingers, but the doctors went as far as this spot, and which is, some of them says, they felt, maybe the cancer will eat it up. There are a lot of excuses for those surgeries, which I feel, if they work with the artists, there will be other suggestions, there will be other ideas. Why don't we it this way? There's always a proportion. We will look at not just amputating the limb with, or become comfortable even with such amputations. So all of those things are things we need to compare. So from my perspective, I feel it should be more of a research and also maybe later business. But there's a lot the artist has to offer to the medical field.
So you mentioned earlier that you also are fond of archaeology, which is a huge understatement. You've made remarkable contributions to archaeology. You're responsible for discovering, dating, and documenting a series of finds in Nigeria known as the Amanam Terracotta. Where did your interest in archaeology stem from?
My interest in archaeology began several years ago. I grew up in a city called Calabar. It's in Cross River State. And I watched my dad and one professor, he was a renowned professor of archaeology. His name was Professor Epo Eyo. So they went around from place to place there at Calabar, making discoveries, finding artifacts, and dating them. He was a renowned professor. I think he resided in the US. He contributed so much, not just to Nigerian archaeology, but also to the African space itself. So I drew my inspiration from watching the different kinds of objects that were discovered. I found several items that really points to the fact that we Africans are as ancient and as old as existence. So that has always been a spark, has always informed me that there is more to our existence than what we have on books and journals. So I've always believed that there is always something in the ground. So this also led to me evolving into a curious mind. I've always been looking around. I've always been suspecting places. I've always been attached to history. to say, oh, I feel from history, this place could house that, and that. And so I decided to go into research about the Ibibio people. And then for almost 10 years, I was trying to find how to connect, how to see if there were items underneath the earth. And I have found a series of pieces in bronze, in terracotta, iron, a whole lot of ways, with shapes, some with funny inscriptions, which also tells us that we had a language, contrary to what we are told that there's no language. We had our own languages. They may be lost, I don't know, but we're still trying to decipher all of that. So I have documented that. We are working. I also have a team who assists me. We documented all of that information. We are trying to compare them and to see, make out something interesting out of it. And we are still in the process. It's a very interesting experience for myself. And I know my dad is surprised that I have chosen to continue with such art. So I still owe respect to Professor Ekuyo. He was a great man. He did a lot of work, and I promised that I'll put my leg in his shoe and, if possible, do more. If possible, write more about the African history. I'll also do my best to ensure that there are more discoveries. At least I'll discover more than 20,000 pieces before I die.
So the Immortal Gallery of Art, it's
Yeah.
a contemporary art gallery with different artists. It also houses some of these artifacts. Are these your artifacts that you found?
Yes, yes. Immortal Gallery of Art houses contemporary artworks, and also is a section for antiquity, which is the works are found, their dates, and all of that information labeled and kept separately from contemporary art. So for contemporary art, we have paintings, sculptures, ceramics, textiles, and other specialties in art display their works. These are from different artists, with professional artists who actually studied art at the university. So that the gallery houses a whole lot of works of art and a lot of expressions. Yes.
So you've spoken about your love of numismatics, coin collecting. Can you draw any connections between your coin collecting and the ventures, your various ventures with the Immortal Gallery of Art and the Immortal Cosmetics Art?
Yeah, it's all history. History. I like history. Like I said, I am trying to connect the past and the present. A lot of Africans have been poisoned mentally. Most of us feel that the black man had little to contribute to modernity or modernization and civilization. So my love for coins, my love for history is I believe there is a missing link. So I am trying to either be the link or create a link, because I've collected a series of works as far as Manilas. I don't know if you're aware of Manilas. I've stumbled on a site where I excavated over 50 Manilas. Manilas are ancient money. I think it's still one of those collections. So I found Manilas are about 150 years of age. I've had collections like that I find some I actually buy them from people who have the coins, especially the coins. I buy the coins from people who already have those coins. So it keeps me intact. One of my missions is restoring our glory, solving problems. So I want to solve both physical problems and psychological problems as well.
That's a great segue into what I'd like to cover next. you are a Pan-Africanist. Can you explain a little bit about the Pan-African movement and how your various ventures further it?
Yes, Pan-Africanism is a movement that calls for the unity of Africa, the love for Africa, and a commitment to Africa. You know, we are one of the races. I'm not saying we are special. No. I'm saying we have to commit ourselves to coming together, to working together to solve other problems and evolve like the others. So Pan-Africanism is all about the love for the continent, working for the continent, living for the continent, and thinking for the continent. We need to think for ourselves as Black people. We need to solve our own problems. So that's all that's revolved about my thoughts for Pan-Africanism. You can't say you're an African when you're thinking like an Asian, or you feel you should live in Asia and you say you're Pan-African. That doesn't work that way. We need to come back and look at the table, look at the boards and say, what's the problem? How do we solve this? Let's sit back and fix this. So that's where my Pan-Africanism is directed to.
So that's a very important and strong cultural and political movement. I support anything that promotes empowerment, unity, and self-determination.
Thank you.
So you've won numerous awards. Last year alone, you won the Global Entrepreneur Award and the African Health Excellent Award. What does it mean to receive these recognitions from some of your peers?
It means a lot to me. It also assures me of the impact of my work so far. You know, receiving all these awards, I think I've gotten more awards from outside of my country than within my country. So it places me on that stage to understand that what we do is watched by the whole world. People are watching us everywhere, and that we need to evolve. We need to be serious. We need to perfect our crafts. So it's a thing of joy to myself. It's I feel fulfilled. I feel energized whenever all of these awards come my way. And it's also a message to the others. Let's find problems and solve them. Let's not go into let's go out like scavengers looking for problems to solve. And then this would be a starting point. Many years ago, I looked at an individual who was complaining, and I told him, I'm looking for a problem. I'm not looking for a solution. I'm looking for a problem. I'm looking for that problem that if I solve, will be the master key to solving other problems. And I think the production of hyper-realistic prostheses has given me a boost. It has helped me both financially and globally and otherwise to have a platform to solve other problems. The production of prostheses has helped me in this archaeology. Without the funds I have from my company, I don't think I will have that support to go into all of these researches that we are doing. So we need to go into the society and look for that problem, that rare, unique problem that is challenging. Then we look at it, be it in space, whatever it is, there are problems littered everywhere. And all of these problems are finances. Because when you solve a problem, you've attracted finances to yourself. So let's not look for jobs. Let's look for problems and solve them. That is it.
What would you like your legacy to be?
Immortal. I know that's my name. That's my nickname, Immortal. I will never be forgotten. It means someone was asking, said, are you God? I said, no. Immortal means someone that will not be forgotten. It's my own definition from the Oxford Dictionary. It's someone, an event, an individual who is not forgotten. I would always be remembered for that African who stood for Africa lived and, okay, let's say, and with the African that solved problems for Africa in Africa, lived and died in Africa. That's what I want to do. So,
John, I just want to thank you for sharing your time and your incredible story today. Your work with prostheses helps transform people's lives, and your archaeological contributions are going to preserve your homeland's cultural heritage for posterity. It was wonderful speaking with you. I hope you have great fortune, and you're the reason why I do this. You are the definition of inspirational.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you too. Have a great day.
You too.